Welcome to Networking with Nathaniel, a real estate and entrepreneurial podcast where I get to sit down, stand up, talk to high-level individuals inside and outside of the real estate space that are just, doing really fun things. I started this a little while ago just so I could network and connect with other high-level individuals. I'm Nathaniel Hovsepian, the host of Networking with Nathaniel. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with somebody who actually was outside of Pace Morby. I think he was literally the first face that I saw when I joined the Sub 2 community, as he was the leader of not only the Discord server that was a part of Sub 2 at the time, but he was also my regional Carolinas group leader when I got started as well. He is a real estate investor. He's a community builder. He is a husband, a father, and I have the pleasure of welcoming Jeremy Davis to the stage. Appreciate you being here, brother.
What's up?
I hope I did all right.
Great introduction. Love it.
Yeah, there you go. I fumbled a little bit, but how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's a good Tuesday. I got a lot working this week that I either have to be terrified of or looking forward to. I'm not sure yet, but no, it's good.
Yeah, I know we can't spill beans too much. The reason I didn't say, we're recording this a day ahead of time. We were supposed to go live yesterday, or tomorrow, but as entrepreneurs, as real estate investors, we have to be adaptable. Some things came up in your life and your business where tomorrow's not going to work. So we got together yesterday and we're like, hey, how can we make this work?
Yep.
I appreciate you. Like, you had made a commitment to coming on the podcast, and as a man of his word, and knowing that this was important to both of us, like, hey, how can we get this to freaking work? Okay, let's be adaptable.
Without spilling the beans, what I will say is that something that I've been working on now for about 6 months that just went live this last week might be pivoting in a slightly different direction, that someone very important to a lot of the real estate community, we've been in conversations about actually collaborating together with that. And so I don't know what to say yet. I don't know what that direction is going to look like yet. So tomorrow was when they had their schedule available when I was supposed to be with you. So thank you very much for being flexible and pivoting towards today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. Outside of that you've been working on for a while, what's kind of keeping you occupied at the moment?
So, all right, let's talk about, where I'm at right now in my business. So I've been doing real estate for a number of years, long time. Let's go back in time. Let's go back 4 years. Okay. So I think that I had done real estate and I dabbled in it. I dabbled in creative finance for a number of years prior to COVID. And I'm just changing my mirror thing right there. There we go. So I just want to look at you.
Oh yeah, nice.
There we go. Okay. I have a teleprompter, so it makes it easier that I can just actually look at you.
Okay. Nice.
Anyway, so where was I? So I had dabbled in real estate, and I was in Los Angeles. I was in California, and I absolutely hated it there. But my primary job was I worked in hospitality. I was a server. I was a sommelier. I was a chef. And that actually all came from 2010. Some people know about this story, but it basically a motorcycle accident. I was riding in the canyons of Malibu, and I got hit head on by a Harley who launched me 150 feet off the cliff, and I broke my back, my shoulders, my arms. I got airlifted out, and I got pretty messed up. 2 years of surgeries and rehab and painkiller addiction. 2012 rolls around, and the market was ripe. That was when the recession was ending, and we saw real estate starting to climb finally. And so I said, I want to get into real estate back in 2012. And what I did back then was I made the mistake of trusting. Who do you go to for real estate advice? You go to an agent, right? So I went to 3 different real estate agents, and I asked them for their advice on how to buy a house. And I had a lot of cash. I had great credit, but I didn't have any work history because I was out on disability for 2 years. And so all of them said, you should just go back to serving tables or find a W-2 or do something until you're able to buy a house. Well, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, the market just started shooting up so much faster than I could even catch up to it. So I just kind of stayed in hospitality. And like a lot of us entrepreneurs, I'm sure we could all really relate. We don't like to stay stagnant. right? We can't just be okay being in a cubicle desk job for the rest of our lives. We want to get better at what we do. So with that being said, I went from being a server, I went to being a chef, I went to being a sommelier, which is the wine guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we found my way into Beverly Hills, working at probably one of the top restaurants in the world, Spago, which is Wolfgang Puck's
Wow.
place.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt that I had hit the pinnacle. So now, fast forward, COVID hits, everything shuts down, and I'm sitting there and I go, I'm not happy doing hospitality. Like, I did hospitality to get to my goal, which was real estate, right? And
Yeah.
now that hospitality is fizzling away, and we don't know when this huge, dangerous disease is ever going to go away. We have no idea. Like, is the world going to collapse? Like, should I buy the toilet paper? What I decided was I want to now go back into real estate. It's time to do it. And so I made some calculated decisions about like which markets do I believe would warrant the best return on real estate. And I started thinking about it. I go, okay, I'm right wing, I'm more Republican side, conservative side. And I go, if I'm going to be moving out of California, leaving Los Angeles, where remember the George Floyd riots were happening at that time. There was so many restrictions. You couldn't go out to eat at restaurants and all this stuff. You had to show your vaccine cards. By the way, I had a fake one.
Did you?
Yeah, I had total counterfeit.
Yeah.
So with that, I said to myself, okay, if anyone in the West Coast is going to be moving east, where are they going to go? Firstly, if you're in Washington or Oregon, you're going to go to Boise, Idaho, right?
Mhm.
If you're in Los Angeles, you're going to probably go to Phoenix. But all of them are going to head east, and then they're going to be hitting Utah, which again is a very conservative state. It has really great real estate, all that stuff. And the best part about Utah is it has a backstop of Colorado, which is a liberal state.
Right.
So people are not going to keep going further. They're going to stop right there.
Yeah.
So I moved to Salt Lake with a calculated decision. And another reason that everyone asks me why I moved to Salt Lake, I go, because I wanted to move to the city with the worst fine dining scene ever. And that's Utah. Utah is the king of fast food and garbage, junk food, sugar cookies and shit like that. So to find like a really nice wine list to where I could hold on to my career, it was really, really hard, unless I worked in like Park City or something like that. But so I moved out to Utah. I gave up my position in hospitality, and then I went all in on real estate.
Yeah.
Capital I had been saving up. I had something like $150,000 that I had just been saving. Okay. Like just serving tables, keeping tips, putting it under the mattress.
Yeah.
And so, and by the way, to be very clear, I could have done this without having $150,000, but I'll tell you like what I used that money for. So originally when I moved out here, my goal was to do fix and flips. And I think I walked something like 75 different properties being advertised by wholesalers. And I kept getting outbid on every single one. The market was so hot in Utah that there were a few months that we were at a 33% appreciation month over month. Whoa. That meant that a $500,000 home in 6 months would gain $150,000 in value by doing nothing to it.
Yeah.
Cool, right? Yeah. So I kept bidding on these wholesale deals. And in Utah, they actually have like bidding wars, right? You actually show up to the property, all the investors at the same time, and then they bid on the property. And so
I mean,
it's cool because the wholesaler will make more money, but it's not good for building relationships with buyers. And so you burn through buyers pretty quickly. And so anyway, 75 or so properties later, I finally bid, I think it was 150 or 135,000 over asking. So we can safely assume that wholesaler was about to make $150,000 to $200,000 easily off of that. And they go, congratulations, you won. You got the deal. We're going to give you a call in the morning. We're going to send you all the paperwork to sign. Cool. So next morning comes around. I don't get a phone call. I call them and I go, what's going on? And they go, ooh, we got some bad news. We decided to sell it to a friend instead.
Yeah, for $10,000 more.
Yeah. And I go, you said that the bidding cut off at noon yesterday. And did this person have their bid in after that? And he goes, yeah, he did, but he's a friend of ours. So we gave it to him. And I go, you know what? I'm going to take my money and I'm going to be your competitor now.
Yeah.
And so the capital that I had, I chose to go directly into becoming a wholesaler, right? So one good thing about being a sommelier is it's my job to convince you to spend $25,000 on a bottle of grape juice, right? And so I will say that I have years of experience in sales, and I'm pretty damn good at it. And one good thing about hospitality, if anyone listening here has served tables or understands like what that's all about, every table you go up to is like a new door knock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to identify right away what the house looks like, what the person's wearing, what their shoes are, their ethnicity. I mean, this is going to sound racial as all hell, but ethnicities order certain menu items like clockwork,
Yeah.
right? And you could actually watch them walk in and go, I bet you they're going to order shrimp scampi, this. And so with that being said, it's not a prejudice thing. It's a understanding a racial background is also how you understand how to approach that conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Knowing your
And
market. Yeah.
yeah. So with that being said, I start wholesaling and I start doing that pretty well. And I'm doing direct to seller. I'm doing cold calling. I'm doing SMS. And I started training my VAs. I hired some virtual assistants and I trained my VAs how to talk to sellers. And with the company that I had hired to give me a VA, they go to me and they go, every VA that you're working with that's on your team is our top performer. They're crushing all of our other VAs in terms of lead generation and closing deals. And they go, would you want to consider partnering up, Jeremy? And you could help train the VAs and actually we'll do a business together. So that's when Prime Virtuals was born. So, and so, I mean, remind me, correct me if I'm wrong. You were part of Prime, right?
I actually had one of your VA. I forget what his name was, but he left you and came right to me. I think.
Yeah, I think maybe it was Gino.
Gina, that's right. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So I was taking some of the VAs, bringing them onto my team, getting them all trained up, and then for the next client that would come in, I'd be like, okay, like next, right? So again, being a mama bird, feeding the little baby birds until they're able to go out in the nest on their own. So anyway, with that being said, did that for a while, and something that did for me was it gave me a massive level of oversight on where the real estate market was. We have hundreds of clients. We're able to see what the marketing they're doing is and what their SMS, cold calling, what's performing, what's not performing. And so I had a 10,000 foot view of wholesaling market in general. So not only coupled with that, being a VA owner, being able to see all of the leads that are coming in and seeing the performance, but I also was a leader within Pace Morby's sub 2 group, which we're part of. Yep. And immediately, very early on, I saw an opportunity to build out the communication platform. That when Pace started sub 2, it really, in my opinion, it really wasn't a community. It was a coaching program. It was a mentorship. And there was very, very little communication other than like on Facebook where you're having to battle the algorithm, where students were not able to network with each other correctly. And so I approached him with the idea about me building out a Discord server for him, which I had used when I played video games and all that stuff. And it's funny that, I'm 43 years old now, but I do enjoy the occasional Call of Duty. And so when you play video games, you have to figure out a way to communicate with your teammates, your friends. And so things like Discord came out for that sole purpose, was allowing people across the world to be able to talk in live time and be able to communicate effectively. Right. So I approached the idea and they're like, oh, no, we'll do it ourselves. Cool. I think it was like a month later, they go, we can't do this. We don't know what we're doing. Yeah. Will you do it for us? So I take it on, never got paid for it. And that's okay. Like, again, I wanted to build something that I was passionate about for the community because I saw the vision that Pace was creating. And that was really important to me. And so I built out that server. And within that server, we also wanted to build out regional groups, and regional groups being specifically some states might be Northern California and Southern California because it's so big. Same thing with Florida, or we might cluster a couple states into like the Midwest, right? Or the Carolinas, North and South. Yep. So when we started this, we saw that there were some leaders that were in those areas that were doing deals that understand real estate, but there was a lot of states that really didn't have the leadership. And so Midwest, Carolinas, Pacific Northwest, Dakotas, Utah, Nevada. I just happen to be in Utah. So I, again, mama bird, I fed all the little baby investors and, got them to start doing deals until eventually people were able to stand up on their own 2 feet and become leaders themselves until where I was able to step out and step out of that. So I was doing a lot of Zooms every single week for all of these students and helping them do deals. So coupled with the VA company, coupled with my own company, coupled with, and by the way, one more thing to add, Utah was, and quite frankly, is one of the most competitive markets in the nation. No doubt about it. Like, you think Miami is hard, Salt Lake City is 10 times harder. And I'll go into that here in a little bit. But anyway, so let's wrap up that portion of the story. So again, doing a lot of deals and helping a lot of students and helping, again, thousands of students I've helped do deals and get them over the finish line. My biggest issue is something that I suffer from is that I love to give. My love language is words of affirmation and the feeling that I'm helping. And so the biggest problem that I would say that I've had to overcome myself is being able to ask for things in return.
Okay.
And so I've helped, thousands of deals get over the finish line, but I think I've only asked to be involved in those deals a handful of times. And so now that's something that I'm trying to learn about. And I'm being encouraged to say, listen, become compensated for your time. And I still struggle with that. Like, I'm very anti-guru. I'm very anti-coach. So, coaching is fine, by the way. Let me be very clear. Coaching is fine, but like, I don't want people to see, I never want someone to look at me as though I'm only spending time talking to them because I want their money. Really. And this is exactly what I said for Prime. In Prime, when I had my onboarding call with every new potential client, I said, I am not here for your money. I'm here for your success. And if you are not able to provide or deliver what I need from you, then you can't provide what we need to be successful together. And I would rather just not have you be a client. And so again, I mean, you may remember that. And so, anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if you were my onboarding call, if it was, your partner, was it Adam? Maybe I forget what his name was.
Alex back at the time. Yeah.
Yep. But he probably asked that same question because when you said it, like, oh yeah, for sure. Because you want me to be able to go close deals, because in order for me to stay with the VA company and hopefully get another VA and, for them to be successful, like, I got to be put in the work. You mentioned really early on here, which was an interesting point about moving to Salt. Well, before I say that, like, the way you figured out and thought through where you wanted to go was very interesting to me. Like, people in Washington and Oregon, they're going to be heading this way. They're going to stop in Boise. Like, people in Southern California and lower are going to be heading this way, and they're going to stop in Salt Lake City because they're not going to pass that blue state, which I thought was interesting. But something you mentioned about the suckiness of the food and the food
the
scene,
terrible food.
Like, we hear from a mindset perspective, we always hear about, like, change your environment, get your friends, if your friends aren't contributing to your success and, like, empowering you and helping you lift up towards your dreams, like, get away from them, it's time to leave. Like, that's an interesting little tidbit that might have been glossed over or might be missed by other people. It's like, you went and said, I can't be doing this. I need to go somewhere where I cannot do this. Otherwise I might fall back on it. I need no freaking safety net. I need to, what do they say? Like, burn the ships.
Yeah. Burn the boats behind me. That's exactly what I did. It's funny, when I first moved out here, though, I will admit, I did interview at a few of the best restaurants in Salt Lake. I was scared. I mean, like, I'm going into this entirely new industry and this entirely new career. I didn't know a single person in Salt Lake, not one. We just looked at the map and I picked a random area. I found an apartment area or a random central area of the city or the county. And then I'm like, okay, let's find an apartment in that area so I can learn the lay of the land. And so when we first moved out here, I sat here and I go, I'm scared. I don't know where to start. Like, I was so newbie, right? And so I did interview at a couple of restaurants. And I remember they look at my resume and they go, what the fuck are you doing here? Sorry, they didn't use a bad word. You taught it. What the heck are you doing here? Golly gee. Right. And so they look at that and they go, like, why are you here, dude? What are you doing here? And I'm like, I worked at one of the best restaurants in Beverly Hills. I'm a certified sommelier, like, whatever. And they're like, you're hired. And I remember I was like, okay, let me get back to you. I've got a few other restaurants that are, I'm interviewing as well. Every single one of them, like, you're hired, you're hired, you're hired, you're hired. And I was like, no, that's too easy.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I want. And so I literally turned them all down. I didn't work a single day in hospitality once I got here. But just a really quick thing to glance over. Want to know one reason why Salt Lake has such a terrible food scene? Why would you guess? It's a large enough city. You would think that it has enough ethnicity and enough size to warrant a good food scene. But why do you think it doesn't?
Uh, I want to say like maybe alcohol restrictions.
There you go. You're on the right track. So alcohol sales. So restaurants such as McDonald's or Crumble or, any of the fast food chains that are out there, they turn and burn. They use low quality ingredients, and all they're looking for is quantity of sales, which is where they hit their margins. Anything that's a fine dining type of scene, it's necessary to have the alcohol margins to be able to survive. Quite frankly, a lot of menu items like food items that are on a menu will actually make a restaurant take a loss, but that menu item is something that brings people in, where they then sell them on alcohol or wine, which then makes up for the loss of that menu item. And so specifically now that because of inflation and, thanks Biden and all that stuff, because of that, food prices have become astronomical, right? Like I remember going to the market and getting like a ribeye steak and be like, ooh, it's on sale for $3.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, it's on sale for $23. Like, Jesus Christ. So, but anyway, so without alcohol sales, restaurants of higher quality are not able to hit their margins to survive. And people forget that. And they go, when you're paying for a lease, you're paying for labor, you're paying for cleaning, you're all this kind of stuff you have to pay for. And that's why Utah, like we have it right where I live, we have a new development that just went in, like a new commercial development next to a Home Depot. And they've been building it and building it and building it. I keep going to my wife and go, oh, please make a Chinese restaurant, or please like do something Italian or whatever it is. And it just finally went in. It's a Jersey Mike's. It's a Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Okay.
Like, why do I need a Nothing Bundt Cake? And it has a drive-through. It has a freaking drive-through. Like, oh, like, I just want to be like this 1,500-pound obese man. Like, oh, I need to drive through to get my cake.
Yeah,
like,
can't get out of the car.
So anyway,
full disclosure, we love Jersey Mike's, but
sure. Yeah, it's great. I would also love something of quality. There's a lot of Jersey Mike's. Yeah. So, but anyway, aside from that, I just thought that was a fun thing to point out. But yeah, that's if I ever get into politics, that's the first thing that I'm going to change are the alcohol laws in Utah, because it's not necessary at all. Yeah. Anyway, so go on.
Yeah, it's for like to kind of pick. I was there. Gosh, it must have been January of this year, January 24, for a bachelor party. A snowboarding trip. And I don't know how many times we got told, like, you're not from around here, are you? Because we would ask for something like a drink or, whatever. And they're like, they knew immediately, like, you're not from Utah. Like, we're not from Utah.
It's so hard that here's what's actually funny is that when I lived in California, I had no desire to have children. My wife, Katie, had no desire to have children. Once we moved out here, we saw there was a different quality of life. We saw that there was actually the ability to enjoy ourselves, and you can buy trailers and toys and go camping. And it was in Los Angeles. I worked about 25 miles away from my house, and it took about 2.5 hours to and from each day. Right. And so that was not an environment that I wanted to raise a family in. And so, so out here, it's interesting that the laws out here are governed by the church for sure. And I appreciate that because it provides actual solid quality family values. Like it's a conservative value where they're not going to allow things that I may not agree with. Like, it's funny, the whole Roe v. Wade, right? That where it got overturned by the Supreme Court, and everyone's talking about abortion and they're all upset about that. And because what did it do? It essentially brought the laws back to the state level, right? Where it wasn't one federal law, it was brought down to the state level. And so for me, I left California because I did not agree with the California laws or the California environment. So I moved to an environment that I appreciated. Once we moved here, I started to see that the laws that they have in place, I actually really appreciate. I saw that they reflected my values a little bit more, actually not a little bit, a lot more than what California and Los Angeles did. Only problem is that some of the alcohol laws are atrocious. They're stupid. There was a law that just actually got pushed away a little bit ago that was called the Zion Curtain. And that was that if you're in a restaurant and you order a drink, the bartender has to go behind a curtain to make that drink because they can't have any bottles or alcohol visible to the public.
Oh
right?
my
Like that makes me think of like Iran, where you cannot show
Yeah.
a woman's ankles, right?
Yeah. Yikes.
Or you cannot carry 2 drinks at once,
Really?
right? Or if you're on a patio, you can't walk around with your drink. You have to be sitting at a table, things like that. Or if I go, hey, what do you want me to get you at the bar? I'll be right back. And I go to the bar. I go, hey, I want to get myself a drink myself and my buddy Nathaniel. And they go, okay, I'm going to have to walk his drink out to him.
Yeah, he has to come up and get it. Yeah.
So yeah, either you get it or the bartender would walk it out to you with me. And I'm like, thanks. I had an extra hand.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
anyway, so again, there's things that, it's give or take. It doesn't ruin it for me. If I was an alcoholic, maybe I'd be upset about it. But again, it's been nice that I don't drink wine anymore. I changed my mindset. So
Yeah. Well, we haven't really talked politics on the show much outside of, I think, like landlord tenant
sure.
laws. That comes up a lot. That's why we don't buy in California and Oregon and Washington. People look at me strange sometimes too, because I'm from Southern California. We left in 2016. We went to a state where the alcohol laws are different as well, Oklahoma. And I forget exactly what it was. Like you can't buy anything over 3% beer unless it's at a liquor store. Yeah,
Yep.
like all the little things, like nothing on Sundays. But I agree. To give the power back to the states more, it should be done more. That's where I stand politically. Like the less big government we have, the better, in my opinion. You went into this VA. You went into this VA company, which you're not a part of anymore. I don't want to overstep as far as the conversation goes.
I shut it down.
Oh, okay. I thought it was still going. You just exited.
Nope. I was originally going to exit out of it and sell it off, but then I realized, I go, you know what? I don't even want to spend time on that. Just the amount of okay. So let's go back to where marketing is now.
Okay.
4 years ago, you could, if you want to start a text messaging campaign, you can start it and have it up and running in a matter of 24 hours. Yeah. Super easy. Like you literally would go to, my God, I'm spacing out the name of the Launch Control. You literally go Launch Control, open up an account, and then you would literally upload your list. And you just skip traced off a prop stream, and you'd throw the phone numbers in there, and boom, you're up and running. Text messages going out. You could type out whatever text message. You could literally be like, "Hey, asshole, I want to buy your house. Like, will you sell it to me?" Okay. Yeah. As TCPA and 10DLC regulations change, that became much, much, much more difficult. Now, when texts go out, they have to have verbiage that says, like, if you want to unsubscribe, type the word stop. Yep. But that sentence alone is something like 110 characters. And if you can only have 255 characters that go out on the first text, your first text is like, and here's the funny thing, you can't even say house. You can't even say home.
You say home?
It's like, do you want to transition your domicile to another possession ownership? Like, and so now you're looking, sorry, I'm not going to say the R word, but Jesus Christ, you're looking like a hard R. Okay. Yeah. And so who's going to go, you know what, that text?
Yeah, that makes a lot of
perfect sense. And yes, I do want to sell my house. Like,
I do want to transfer my domicile.
Exactly. And so with that, it made text messaging much, much more difficult. Yeah. And then same thing goes for cold calling as well. Now for cold calling, it's not as restrictive in that aspect, but now you also have to have an EIN. You have to have a website. Your website has to be compliant. You have to have the terms and conditions. You have to have everything in there as well to be allowed to have a phone number that you're allowed to call out from. Yeah. So what before was the Wild West of getting everybody marketing it up and running. Like you say, hey, you want a VA? Great. I'll have you texting before the end of today. You've got your VA trained. You've got this, blah, 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 blah. Done. Now you can't, right? So now it became much more difficult. And what that meant was that now the level of friction to get a new client into the VA service was a lot more difficult. And then you're also having to be very clear with that client. Be like, when they go, how many leads do you guarantee me? I go, I don't guarantee you shit. Yeah. Like, and I'm sure I told you this. They're like, if you're calling a pre-foreclosure list you're lucky if you get them to answer the phone, right? Or if you're calling a high equity list, right? Someone has no pain at all. They've just been living in their house for a long time. They're going to answer their phone because there's a higher likelihood of them answering because they're not getting bombarded by wholesalers. And they answer and you go, hey, do you want to sell your house? More than they're going to probably say no.
Right.
But if they do, they're going to say, for $1 million, I will. Like, do you want to give me that offer? And so now you might be getting tons of leads from high equity, but they're cold leads. Or someone might say, I was thinking about selling 3 years from now. Can you check back in 3 years? And so now you're just filling your pipeline up with garbage.
Yeah.
And so as a VA owner, as a VA company, what I do not want you to do as a client is now you're getting bogged down by crap ass leads that aren't going to convert. And so now you're going to go, oh, your VAs are not giving me anything of quality. And I go, oh, you're not giving me a list of quality and you have too high of expectations to know what you should be getting from that list.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's what I said to everybody was the number one thing that you are required to do as my client is at least once a month, at minimum, you have to provide me a list of 10,000 new addresses that have been skip traced. And this is exactly what I said. Your list is my VA's diet. And if you are feeding my VA a crappy list, that means they're not going to be able to perform at their highest standard. Do you want them to be a fat, lazy person on the couch, or do you want them to be an athlete running quickly and doing things for you? It's your job as the client to provide us a solid list. There was one time that Pace gave out a list for Maricopa County, Arizona, and he gave it out to all of sub 2. And so then some of my clients were like, hey, I want to use this list. And I said, nope. They go, what do you mean no? And I go, I am not here to help you spend money on my VAs to where you're going to be calling a list that I promise you has already been bent over a barrel by VAs or by Pace's team already. And then now they're providing a list that's already been called to death. Now they're providing it out to 8,000 students all at the same time.
For free, yeah.
Like, why don't you actually not aim for the free list and actually aim for spending a little bit of money and getting a fresh list of people that you want to market to? So again, that's where I have a higher level of understanding of like marketing to where I've done it. I understand what my KPIs need to be, and every cost per lead, cost per contract, contract per deal, deal per close. Those are all KPIs that are important in this business.
Yeah. Okay. We got to go a little bit back there. Okay. You said A2P, application to
10 DLC and then TCPA primarily.
What's the 10? I forget what the 10 DLC stands for.
I don't even know.
Oh, okay. Because I know that it took me.
I'll say downloadable content. I don't know.
Yeah, I had to Google A2P so many times before it was like ingrained in my head, because it is like you have a software and your software is sending a text to a person. That thing, I wish I was there in the Wild Wild West, because I'll be having like real conversations with people, and these are people that I know, and I'll say, "Can you pull the weeds?" And a thing pops up and says, "You can't talk about cannabis or can't talk about marijuana." I'll shoot you an email. You can't talk about guns.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like, oh, it's just so frustrating sometimes. Now I have to think like, oh wait, how would I rephrase this?
You look so stupid in your text message, your email. Like, it's just so hard. Like, you can't use the word sell. You can't use the word buy, purchase. Like, you just have to start like, oh man, if I had some of them in front of me, that would be, I want to go back in time and find some because they were so bad. Oh,
it's just, you sound, it makes you not sound like you know English.
Yeah.
And so then it shuts the other person off. Like, if you had a chance of them being interested, they're going, well, I'm not going to sell to this foreign person that doesn't know how to talk English.
Yeah.
How to speak goodly.
Do you want to transfer your yurt to my possession? Like, what? Anyway.
Emoji. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of KPIs there. From a cold calling, cold texting perspective, I think the answer is going to be no. But is there like 1-2 things that like these are the holy grail of KPIs that if you track these and you can figure out how to tweak these and make them better?
If you really we'll talk about KPIs for just a second. So when it comes to KPIs, you have to look at, again, the way we gauge them are going to be hot to cold. Okay. Mm-hmm. So through SMS, and through cold calling, you're going to have probably like one quality deal is going to come from roughly 80 to 120 leads. So cold calling is going to be less, right?
Yep.
Because you've actually vetted that conversation. Someone has talked to that seller and they've said, yes, I do have a desire to sell. You might even have been able to get the 4 pillars of information, right? Of motivation. So
Yep.
you might even have that. They're slightly more qualified. But SMS, if you text somebody about buying their domicile, and they respond back and they go, yes, I've thought about selling, that is technically a lead, but is it a quality or warm or hot lead? We don't know that yet. So
Yeah.
you'll get more. So roughly speaking, like 85 to 120. If you look at the average across the board for all types of marketing, you're looking at about 50 to 55 across the board. And to be perfectly honest, now that I really think about it, I think we're probably even looking higher than that, because now people that want to sell their houses are probably selling them with no equity, and they're probably sitting on market longer now. And so you probably have more on market listed deals that are not selling. So that might mean that we're pivoting even that direction now even further, of it might be 90 to 150 leads that will potentially equal a deal. But anyway, going back to the whole point, when you're doing cold outreach, that's one type of thing. If you're doing direct mail, if you're sending out direct mail, you should be receiving, if you're lucky, you should be receiving about a 1% response rate. Okay. So if 100 mail pieces are sent, you should hopefully have one person call back. Out of that one person, you should expect half of that one person to actually potentially be interested in the sale. The other half of that person is going to tell you to fuck off and die.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to have people like that. And forgive me for, if you want to bleep me out, go ahead and bleep me out. So you have half the responses are going to be, take me off your list. I don't want you to waste paper. I don't like you killing trees. And then the other half is going to be like, well, I got this letter in the mail. What are your thoughts? Right. So there you go. So you have to start analyzing it that way, that if you're sending out 1,000 mail pieces, and let's just use the idea of each mail piece is $1. Okay. So you've spent $1,000 on getting a response. And if you get a half of 1% response, that means you're not even at one lead yet. You're almost at one lead. Okay. So that means that if you're looking at the average on inbound hot leads is roughly between 10 to 20 leads will equal a deal. Okay. So let's just, for the sake of, if we're saying 0.5% response rate for direct mail and you send out 1,000 pieces, that means you need to send out 2,000 pieces to get one solid lead, right? 2,000.
Yep. Okay.
So now we want to get 10 leads to equal that potential of locking up that deal. Right now, sometimes I've locked up one deal out of every 3 leads. Like sometimes it happens, like, don't get me wrong, but 10 leads, let's just say that's the average right now. That means you have to send out $20,000 in mail to be able to get one deal based off of that. And by the way, I rounded up on mailers, obviously. Typically mailers are going to be anywhere from like 60 to 85 cents. So it's going to be less than that. So let's just say more likely you're spending $16,000 on mailers to get 10 leads. And if you can close one of those deals and you can make $20,000 assignment on that, you've made back your money essentially. And that's fine, but you made back your money, plus you only made $4,000. That doesn't really help kick the can down the road very much. You're now looking for a 30, excuse me, you're looking for a 3x margin. So if you're spending $20,000, you should be receiving $60,000 in return. That's if you're having an acquisition person, a disposition person, you're spending money on marketing and stuff like that. And so what I saw in Utah back in around May, and I'll pivot to where I'm at right now. Back in Utah, we were at about $750 to $950 per click.
Yep.
Like if they went to our website, we were spending like $900 something when they submitted information into our website. That was $900, and I could not dispute that. And when the market shifted here in Utah, like it did nationwide, but when it shifted where people are now trying to sell their market or their property on the market, and it's not selling because they don't have enough equity, and they then go to my website and they're like, yeah, I'm on market and I'm looking to help my real estate agent find a buyer because it's not selling fast enough and I really need to sell. Would you give me an offer? Hey, thank you for making me just spend $900 on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we were at, back in May, we were at about $18,000 to $20,000 cost per contract. Okay. Not cost per deal, cost per contract. Some of the deals had to fall through. So let's say we were at our cost per deal was closer to $22,000 to $25,000. That means if I have to pay my team, I have to pay all my systems and all my marketing, and I have to hit a 3x margin. If it costs me, or if I make 25,000, if it costs me 25,000, I have to make 75,000, which in this market is not as sustainable as it was before. When the market was hot, my average assignment fee was 55,000, and my cost to get there was like 6,000.
Yeah,
doing super well. So right now the market is pivoting, and I'll tell you where I'm at right now. I made the decision in May that I was going to be starting more of a nationwide community, and that community was going to be based around being for free. And in that, it was going to be based around also providing as much value as possible, because something that I'm not a big fan of is spending money on coaches and gurus where they're not there for your success, they're there for your money. And something that a lot of people don't realize is that when you sign up with a new coaching program or a mentorship or a guru, I got on stage a couple of weeks ago and I said this: there is mentorships, there's coaches, and there's gurus. A guru is there to make more money off of you than they are off of what they're actually teaching. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay. They're there to sell you on affiliates. A coach is there for your success, but they're there because of your money. A coach will not spend the time with you unless you are paying them money to do so. A mentor is a friend or a colleague that you can actually trust and actually rely on, that they're not going to send you towards a bad product, right? So like I've wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars on coach and guru recommendations, and I'm sick of it. And so with what I've been building out since May is essentially it's a nationwide network for all things real estate, all things investment, everything in there. But the number one goal is creating a very safe environment to where any product that's talked about is vetted and verified. If anybody begins to have problems with that product is no longer allowed to be talked about. If someone goes in there and says, hey, I've got a VA company I'm looking to sell, we're removing that post and we're messaging that person and saying, hey, if you want to talk about your product, we're going to need your EIN, your LLC, your website. We want to verify you're a real company. And on top of that, we also are going to put a check mark next to your name, because the thing that annoys the F out of me is when you see in all these Facebook groups, hey, everyone, I'm just here to add value. Do you guys want to see how I made $20 million in real estate over the past 2 years? Hey, send me a DM and I'm going to send you a link to my new webinar. Shut up.
Yeah.
All that is a funnel. All that is them sending you towards their next coaching program or whatever their next product is. And so if somebody is vetted and verified in our server, we're going to be putting a check mark next to their name so that it's apparent. It's apparent that if that person that has a check mark next to their name is saying, oh, I'm just here to add value, send me a DM, it's now a little bit more obvious that there might be a sales pitch behind that DM. And to embrace it even further, to make it even stronger, we've also built out algorithms to be able to identify unusual DM activity, so that if there are people that are DM marketing to students within the server, then we're able to identify that person. Every 24 hours it refreshes. And so if we see 24 hours, same person marketing, they're done.
Yeah.
So that's a passion for me right now. That's what I've been focused on. And so,
instead of a check mark, maybe you should put like a dollar sign or like a little,
sure. Yeah, exactly. Like whatever it is. Yeah. Dollar sign, whatever it may be. The only thing is with dollar signs is that now the new investor might look at that person as being rich or being like a value.
Yeah.
So I should probably put like a poop emoji, right?
Yeah. So I was trying to think what face one would be a good like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been working on right now. Like when the market shifts, when the market gets more difficult, what happens is you begin to see the gurus and the coaches come out of the woodwork with the introduction to school.com. Like, not saying school's bad, but now you see everybody under the sun trying to host their own coaching program where they don't know what they're doing. They haven't been doing real estate very long. They've done one deal and now they're like, I'm going to teach how to wholesale.
Yeah, I know it all. Yeah,
exactly. And so for me, it's a struggle where, like I said before, like my love language is words of affirmation. And so I struggle where, talking to Pace, he told me, he's like, you should do a $25,000 coaching program. You have the experience. You should absolutely do it. And I said, I don't know if I can. I mean, I honestly, I'm sure I could teach and I'm sure I could provide that value, but there's other marketers out there, like guys that do professional marketing. They have a wholesale course. I will not name their names. They have a $100,000 wholesale course. And I've seen it, and it is utter trash. It's so bad. And it's because that marketer, he doesn't do real estate anymore. He's just a marketer. But if you look at people like Grant Cardone, for example, Grant Cardone's net that he throws out across the nation, it's a much larger net than what I might have. And so if I throw a net out and say, hey, everyone, I'm doing a coaching program, how much money do you have to spend on it? I might get a few people that are fine with $25,000. That's okay. But once you get a bigger net and you start to improve the followers that are following you, Grant Cardone, I bet you if he did a wholesale course, he could sell it for $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. He would be teaching billionaires how to build a wholesale course on how to acquire real estate at discounted prices so that they don't have to rely on other sources to do it. So like when I see stuff like that, I go, I could sell a $25,000 coaching program. Maybe down the road I will, but right now I want to provide as much value as possible for like free, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, that's what
it's funny you mentioned the school. We just started a school, not real estate related. It's for fathers to take control of their health and their wellness so they can have a longevity with their families.
I need that. I've got the dad belly.
Yeah, come join us. Fit Fatherhood is the name of the school. I'll send you the link
Cool.
to your text. But I I got two things here to stroke your love language. You are somebody that I looked up to when I joined the community. You are somebody that took me, I don't want to say took me under your wing, but you did spend time with me. We had a handful of one-on-one calls talking about freaking market, what's going on in the market. Like you mentioned, you had this 10,000 foot view of things. And while we were a client of your VA companies, like you didn't do that for everything. I think you even mentioned to it, like, dude, kudos to you for calling and asking for these questions. But then you took the time to I think we like an hour and a half, a couple nights, like where
I had no problem with it.
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
And let me pause real quick. Yeah. There's also one more thing is that I don't do that for everybody. I do that for people that I see that have the potential of success. Like that's something that you should actually know. And I'm going to stroke your love language for that reason. is that whenever at being a leader, I would always have new students introduce themselves to me. And there were many times that I would tell students, you need to get your money back. Like, and I'm not trying to be insulting to them, but hey, Jeremy, I was told to reach out to you. I just quit delivering pizzas. And if I don't get my first wholesale deal in 2 weeks, I won't pay my rent. So I'm super excited to be here. I just need you to tell me how to get my first wholesale deal. And I go, you need to get your money back, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're not there. You are right now. You are what we call drinking the Kool-Aid. You've watched a YouTube video and you believe this is easy. And this is what I say to everybody. I've said this to everyone in the world. This is my slang, my saying, my logo is gurus are there to lift your head into the clouds. I am there to slam you the back down to earth, right? Like that. I am very transparent. I'm very tactical. And when I was starting off in this industry, I got led in so many different directions because of shiny objects and stuff like that. Like there's 1 million+ ways to be successful in real estate, but there's even more ways to do it wrong if you don't have the right guidance.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but anyway, I appreciate that compliment, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you being there and you, not just to me, but you've given to a lot of people inside and outside of the sub-2 community. Right. So, I want to be respectful of time here. Do you have any books? Do you have any podcasts, even like a documentary that like you've watched, has either moved your needle or just like, hey, I find this interesting. I know you're into the card game. Damn it.
Oh, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Magic the Gathering just for a second. It was one of your questions, like what's something weird that I do? And I was like, you know what? So I played Magic the Gathering, right? If you don't know what that is, it's a total nerdy, dorky card game. And I played it when I was a teenager. I remember I used to go to the teen center, and then everyone would sit there and play these cards. And that was what you did back in the 1900s is what we called it. Okay. And so my wife, I want to say it was like last Christmas, she got gifted a wiener dog puzzle. And so she and I, my wife and I, started playing puzzle, like doing a puzzle together. And it was a really, really great way to bond. Like once the baby went to sleep, we just sat there and, had some wine or had a beer, and we just put together a puzzle.
Yeah.
I hated it. Like I like spending time with her, but I hated the whole puzzle thing. Like I can probably 1,000 times I said, no, it's missing pieces. This doesn't fit here. Like there's no way this is real. Like I was so frustrated with it. So then I had the idea, and I go, you know what I used to enjoy? I used to enjoy Magic the Gathering. And so if you don't know what it is, it's just essentially like, it's a card game that you have different, like, you've got black and green and red cards, and they all have different powers, and every card has its own unique spell or whatever it may be. And so it's a lot of, it's almost like a 3D version of paper, rock, scissors, right? Where someone comes at you with the card, you can then counter the card and do different things. And anyway, I'm not going to try to pitch you on joining Magic the Gathering, something now it's on my phone now. And so at nighttime, like when I'm just like watching TV, I'll put it on, and it keeps my mind invigorated, and it's fun. It's challenging. It's a lot of strategy and stuff like that. And so that's the dork in me.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
But yeah, what were you saying? Okay, so Magic the Gathering, and then books. Thank you. That's a hard one, because depending on the demographic that's listening to me talk right now, it's going to be, there's different stages of where you are as an entrepreneur that are going to help you in certain things. And I would say that probably one of the most important books for me was Who Not How, which is a classic. Okay. I will pull it up. It's right here. In fact, here, let me see here. Let me see what other ones. Aha, there's another one. Okay. And another one. I'm just grabbing all of them. Stand by. Hold on. I guess these are some good ones to start with. Let me see here. Oh, that's another one. Good one. Here's another good one. And another good one. Sorry, I can go on this. You know what? Here we go. Okay. We're gonna stop here. All right.
Oh wow. Okay. Is that the 50 laws of power?
58 laws. Yeah. Okay. So Rocket Fuel.
Yeah.
Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman. Rocket Fuel, guys. And these are all very important to me. So, I need to take the time to explain why. So Rocket Fuel, guys, it teaches you the difference between being an integrator or being a visionary. Okay. Where most businesses, when you look at Walt Disney, Walt was the visionary and his brother was the integrator. Okay. When I first read this book, in the very back of it, there is a test that you can take, and it's the Rocket Fuel test, which identifies who you are as whether you're an integrator or whether you're a visionary, and it grades it out. When I started in real estate, this was the second book I read. The first book I read, and I don't know if I see it here, is Traction.
Okay? Oh, okay.
So real quickly, let me take a sec here. Hold on real quick. Hold on. Traction. Nope, not there. I know I've got it here somewhere. Hold on. Right here. I'm blind. Okay.
It's a good thing you had pants on.
Right? I know. Normally I'm just pantsless. I look like Charlie Brown. Yeah. Okay. So first one is Traction. Okay. Yeah. This is the very first book that I read, and it's also the book that I would recommend you don't read first.
Okay.
This book goes into how to break down your SOPs and how to break down it's a project management type of system. Inside of it, they have the EOS, which is the entrepreneurial operating system, which essentially they call them rocks. And rocks meaning, like, if you're trying to carry around a really big, heavy rock, you're not going to go very far. But if you can chip away at a small rock at a time, and you basically focus on daily tasks and meeting those KPIs, weekly tasks, meeting those KPIs, monthly, quarterly, annual. So it's just essentially a way to be able to break that down. But unfortunately, when I read this book, it was asking things about, like, what are my core values? And these were things that I had no answers to. It took me a while to, your core values, that doesn't come immediately. right? Like you have to actually invent those and think about what's important for you as a business owner, because building a culture around your business, they actually have to, your employees have to believe in your values. They have to be on the, it takes a while. So this one, great book, but you should probably be more into a managerial position by this point, where you actually have people below you and you have systems in place and you've built out those SOPs. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's traction. Rocket Fuel, like I said, I read this book second. This one, when I first took the test, it put me at a 50-50 visionary integrator. It put me at it, like, I think I was like 98 visionary, 96 integrator.
Yeah.
I realized I was lying to myself. So when I was an entrepreneur, when you are a solopreneur, you are so excited. You are that new, baby bunny hopping around going, I'm a business. Oh, look at me. I just made an LLC.
Yeah.
I just made a website. Look, I am so cool. Look at me. Yeah. But the problem is that you're spending so much of your time staying busy by doing busy work that you begin to lie to yourself. You know what I love? I love spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Right. And then you realize that, oh, wait, I don't love spreadsheets. I'm just pretending that I do because it makes me feel like I'm staying busy. It makes me feel like I'm pushing the needle forward. And so then you begin to realize that if I were to read this again today, I will promise you no integrator in me whatsoever. Like I have to have my executive assistant take notes. Like I don't read, and the notes she takes, I don't read those ever again. Right. Like, so my whole point is that like the Rocket Fuel teaches you about visionary and integrator, and just, you have to be honest with yourself. Like don't lie to yourself just so you can get the job, so to speak. Yeah. Right. Okay. So this and this, Who Not How, and the CEO Secret Weapon, they kind of come into play very closely, and they're very, very similar. Who Not How teaches you how to delegate, right? It teaches you how to delegate. It teaches you how to, for example, I built out the Discord server for the Sub2 community. Did I do all the programming and all the bots and all the algorithms? No. I hired an integrator that understands that, and all I gave them was my vision of what to build, and all I did was approve it. So that's another thing, is that in Sub2, everyone was like, oh, you're the visionary integrator, Jeremy, because you built the Discord. I go, no, I told somebody what to do to build the Discord, and then I just ran it, right? Yeah. So Who Not How teaches you how to delegate so that you can what's the difference between $100,000 and $1 million? It's delegation. Right? What's the difference between 1 million and 10 million? It's delegation. It's being able to get the smaller tasks off your plate and hire other people to be able to do so. So Who Not How.
Yeah.
On the same front, the CEO Secret Weapon. This is all about hiring an executive assistant.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what would an executive assistant do for you by managing emails, by managing your calendar, by doing all the small tasks and stuff like that. So the first thing that I did when I hired my EA was I had her read this book, do a book report on this book, and then implement the things in this book.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I love it.
Right. So there's that. Yeah. Extreme Ownership.
Oh yeah.
This one's a good one. Written by Navy SEALs. This one is a hard one to mentally wrap yourself around. It takes a while. It takes a lot of practice. So for example, we hired on a COO that failed us. Remember how I told you how we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing that generated essentially nothing? I don't think I went into that at all, but like,
oh no, yeah, that was off. Yeah,
that was off script. Yeah,
yeah.
So I hired back in the beginning of this year. I hired a COO, and that COO spent a lot of our money, and he spent a lot of our money because he believed that the gurus he was listening to were like, oh, you should use this AI list. And so he's like, we should use this AI list. And I'm like, we should not use this AI list at all. It's a gimmick. And he and I started actually fighting. We had a lot of arguments. And I remember him saying to me, Jeremy, you are so negative. Why can't you be more optimistic in this business? And I said, COO, you are naive. Yeah. You have not been in this business before. You do not know what these people are capable of. When they're saying, hey, use this product, and by the way, use my affiliate link, they don't give a shit about the product or you. They just want to make the money off the product. And so I was saying to him, I go, listen, no. Finally, we have another fight. He goes, you need to give me the ability to do what my job is. And I go, okay, fine. Go ahead and spend it. Mm-hmm. So he pays for all these lists and all that kind of stuff. They were complete scams. absolute scams. We spent $166,000 without a single lead. So then we find out that he was trying to become a real estate broker. And we found emails because my EA worked in his emails as well. And he sent out he was sending out emails to Keller Williams about becoming an agent with them. And he said, as soon as these deals close with Jeremy, I'm a distraction to him that he's going to be quitting. So I said, okay, bye-bye. Right. Like, and we had a couple of flips in the mix, and those flips are worth a lot of money. So I understood why he was trying to stick around. But with that being said, my wife goes, God, he really fucked us over. And then I said, no, I fucked us over by not hiring the right person. That I hired someone who seemed good on paper, that they seemed good when it came to finances and spreadsheets and stuff like that, but they weren't right for this business and understanding. They were too naive. They were in, it's what's called the entrepreneurial stages. They were in the very beginning stage of what's called uninformed optimism.
Yeah.
Right. Where they believe that they've seen what YouTube has to show. And they're like, oh my God, I can be successful in this. And when I found him, he had just quit his job and now he wanted to get into real estate. So he was all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, wanted to crush it. And so he's listening to what every coach says online. And I go, no. But that was my mistake. Yeah. My extreme ownership was I hired the wrong person. And it's not that he spent that money that hurt us badly. It's that I hired the wrong person and I allowed them to do that. So extreme ownership allows you to be able to identify the mistakes that you make in business so that you can learn from those mistakes and not do them again, hopefully.
That one's a great one for every aspect of life too.
Yes. Yeah. Then I want to lead you into these two books because I think these two books kind of speak to each other a little bit. .com Secrets. This is Russell Brunson. So if you guys don't know what marketing is, marketing. So the first thing you're ever going to see is if I were to go to you and be like, hey, Nathaniel, how you want to get into real estate? And if I could provide you a free MLS calculator, would you use it? You go, yeah, I love it. Sure. Yeah. Great. Well, click the link down below and I'm going to send you we're going to go to the landing page where you can download my free MLS calculator. So now you go to a landing page, which is considered a click funnel, right? Or it's a VSL, a video sales letter. And in that's going to be a video. It's going to be, hey, everybody, thanks for downloading my awesome MLS calculator. And by the way, real quick, we have a Black Friday sale. And down below, if you click on this link, you'll also get my full package of how to become a male stripper on OnlyFans. And normally it's a $997 value. And right now I'm offering it to you for $25. Yeah. Click the link down below. And it's even got a counter, a 4-minute counter counting down. Hey, this offer is only valid for the next 5 minutes. Click the link down below. Yeah. Okay. That's .com Secrets. And Russell Brunson's written a bunch of different books about marketing secrets and stuff like that. I wish I had $100 million Leads by Alex Hermosi. I had that as audio, but that's a fantastic book similar to this about marketing. But what's hard is that what is important about .com Secrets is that it teaches you to understand the internet a bit better and to understand like what you're about to funnel yourself into what's called a click funnel. And now you're in the funnel. And so whenever you see like let's just say a real estate challenge that's open to everybody, that is a funnel to get the email to then market to them for other products and so on and so forth. And when that person spends $1, they're now a higher value target. There's chances of them spending $1 now means they might spend $20. And so now you see them being more serious and more serious. And so that is what .com Secrets teaches you. And then finally, the most evil book on the planet, The 48 Laws of Power.
48 Laws. I haven't read it yet. It's sitting over there.
Fair warning. The 48 Laws of Power it's a very long, it's a larger book. Yeah. It is 48 examples of how history has manipulated others to gain advantage. Yeah. While there are thousands of examples how people do good to gain advantage, this is 48 examples on evil. Okay. It's outlawed in the prison system because it teaches people how to manipulate others. So it's not in their libraries. But what's hard about this book is I read it, and as you're reading it, it becomes really difficult to read unless you are a evil person. I was in a partnership once, and he lived by this book before I read it. And every meeting, we would go over one of the laws of power. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, until I realized that person screwed me and screwed many more people over. And then I read through it again and I'm like, oh my God, now I see what he did. Right. And so everybody that's going to go high level in business should read this, not to become an evil person, but to be able to identify the evil when it's happening to them.
Yeah.
And
Defensive.
so it will be a difficult read for a lot of people, but for me, I try not in any way to follow any of these rules, but like, I forget what rule number 1 is. I want to say rule number 1 is, if you're making, let me see here. Hold on real quick. There's the summary right here. Yes. Rule number 1, never outshine the master. Okay. That's
Sith
very
Lord.
right. But that's also very difficult when you're in a mentorship. Right. And where you're trying to do your own thing and grow to be your own person. But if you're in a mentorship or you're in a community and you can't outshine the master, there's going to come a point where that person is no longer going to be your master. You have to step out of that zone. Right. Yeah. Number 2, never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. 3, conceal your intentions.
Yeah.
In other words, like use a human shield if you're making moves against the kingdom. Always say less than necessary. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. And then, like, there you go. That's the first 5 of the 48. And it goes into more detail.
Deceit and seedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my point is when you ask for like one book, I had to give a few.
Yeah. Well, and they span a good range of, I mean, they're all business-ish, but yeah, they span a good range.
My thing is depending on where you are when you're listening to me talk, each of those books are going to help you with certain things.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say about the 48 Laws of Power, I think reading this has hurt me more than it's helped me, because it has now made me become very skeptical about the people around me. And where I'm an overthinker. I'm definitely an overthinker. I will think 12 steps ahead, like a game of 3D chess.
Yeah.
But when I'm thinking in a negative mindset about what people are doing to try to hurt me, then it makes it more difficult to think about the optimistic path I want to take. And I think about the pessimistic what ifs. What if this person does this to me? What if this person does this to me? And that's where I'd say the book, I almost want to say naive, or what is it? Ignorance is ignorance is
bliss. Yeah.
Right. I almost want to say, don't read that, but there's going to come a point if you get higher level in business, not just being a wholesaler. If you're just a wholesaler, you're low level. No offense, guys. If you're just wholesaling, you're not doing big business. But if you're doing corporate mergers and you're doing, major things that you're building out, then there comes a different level that you have to actually understand this to know how to behave. Rule number 4, which was say less. I fucking fail at that.
Yeah. Every time.
Yeah.
Like, I know this is a sales call and I know you're trying to get things out of me. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah.
That's me. Yeah. I can't do it.
Exactly. So anyway, that's my book recommendations.
Yeah.
And as for there's a lot of podcasts, but I would say I think that Alex Hermosi's podcast, what is it called? The game.
Yeah.
I think that one's a fantastic one, but that one reflects to where I'm at today. That's reflecting towards more marketing, more towards transitions, making offers and stuff like that. And so what I will say to you guys is, if, to wrap this up, I said to you before, I don't want to be a mentor. I'll never be a mentor. Or sorry, I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to be a guru. I'll never be a guru. But in regards to being a mentor, I have to be okay with receiving a little bit now. And that's something that I'm working on, my own personal thing. Like, Gary Vaynerchuk has a book that's called Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? So it's like give, and then ask. Yeah. Alex Hermosi's is just the same thing, but there's no right hook. It's just give until somebody comes to you to ask.
Yeah.
The difference is for both of them is I think that's easier to say when they are not the person that is getting on a phone call with all these new investors that have no idea what a lead is every day, where they have people below them that's filtering that out. So if I give and someone calls my team and I'm not the one that's my time being taken and another team member's handling it, then I can give all I want. I'll just jab all day long, because now the asks are coming to my team and there's a filter. But if you're a one-man show, it is kind of hard to give, and not ask for things in return. And that's where a failure point of mine is. So I'll leave you with this. If you guys are trying to give value, don't be afraid to ask for value back. And I will say that my business would be a lot further along. I would be a lot richer if I were to have not given away my time for free.
That's something that I struggle with too. And Brittany has time and time again said, "Why are you on a phone call right now?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to give to people. That's what
I mean,
had people that gave. I mean, people yourself. People gave time to me, and like.
I mean, right now, Nathaniel's paying me about $75,000 for this podcast, right?
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
I do too. I guess
I'll
yeah.
send you my Venmo.
Yeah. If I had 75 grand to just be paying guests, I'd be pretty. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, anything else?
Well, like I don't know if you want people reaching out to you, but if you did, what would be the best way to?
Just follow me on Instagram, the Jeremy Davis. The is the royal version, but the Jeremy Davis.
Yeah.
Feel free to message me on there, guys. I'm actually going to be intentional with putting out a lot more content. That was another thing. I'll finish off with this.
Okay.
So I did a lot of content about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was putting out content, 3 pieces every single day. I had a videographer. We were filming. I really enjoyed it because it created a lot of, it helped with branding and helped with clout. But one thing that I didn't do was that I didn't have any monetization behind it. And let me explain that. If you're just creating content for the sake of creating content, you might get followers and that's cool and all. But unless you have a reason to funnel them towards a direction to monetize that, there's no point to be making content. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people forget. And so again, like the .com secrets. So what you'll see is the people that really crush it in social media are the people that say, hey guys, here's my video. I just added value. And then if you guys want to learn more, we have a private community, click the link down below or click the link in my bio or DM me the word Discord and I'm going to send you an invite to that. But when you don't have anything built out, it's almost worthless. Like, great, I've got 60,000 followers, but all 60,000 of those followers, I don't know if a single one of them will pay $1 for my product. Yeah. They're just watching right now. And same thing goes for like hosting meetups as well, is that if you do not have a system in place to capture potential leads at those meetups, like, hey guys, look in the back of the room. And if you see my people that are all wearing purple shirts, I want you to go to them right now. If you have a lead or you have a seller that you're talking to, and let us help you close that deal. But when you're a one-man show and you don't have systems like that in place, what happens? You finish up, you get off stage. They now super appreciate what you just presented on stage. But what happens? 3, 4, 5 people line up to talk to you, but everyone else in that room turns towards each other to start communicating and doing deals with each other. So you get the 5 newbies that have no idea what they're doing. They're the people that are like, I have $1,000 to my name and I want to buy a 6-bedroom primary.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. You got a lot. I'm going to crush your dreams right now, but good luck. Right. Yeah. So I've got to talk to those people while all the other people in the audience that are doing deals turn towards each other. And I've essentially suffocated myself from the ability to work with them unless I have a system in place. So I will say, I'll leave you with that. If you are going to be adding value, whether it be in person, at meetups, on social media, make sure you have something that you can funnel people towards so that you can then keep them in your funnel and move them down that road together.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. Well,
you should be doing that. What's your funnel right now?
My funnel is getting people to send us leads that they want to sell, because we're buying deals from wholesalers. So that's my end result right now with my social media, is to get people to send us deals. Well, and I guess also to draw people in that want to actually partner or lend on said deals as well.
Okay. So what's your Instagram?
NathanielHovsepian.com.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So guys, by the way, if you're listening to this and you guys have deals for sale, or you guys are looking for private money, you're looking to fund different deals, or you're a new wholesaler, or you're just trying to scale your business, go to Nathaniel's Instagram and send him a DM and find a way that you guys can work together to do more deals and scale your business. Like,
I was going to kick you off and say that, but I appreciate that.
There you go.
Straight out of Jeremy's mouth.
Yeah, clip that, and that will be your new intro. But anyway, right. Yeah, man, thank you very much, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. Best of luck tomorrow with what you got going on, and I'm interested to hear about it.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Talk soon. Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Jeremy Davis. Wow, we learned a lot there. If you can take away anything, is that last little bit is like give, 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 but you want to have some way to be able to ask and bring these people into your fold. I want to mention too, he talked about, having 60,000 people on, we'll call it Instagram, and you don't have any way to necessarily monetize them. As soon as Instagram decides that they don't want you on their platform anymore, those 60,000 people are gone. You will never talk to them again. So be intentional with being able to contact them outside of these platforms. We will not be doing it this week as it is Thanksgiving, but as always, I host a weekly Zoom designed to help you guys out. I like to give. It's called Helping Hands Hour. If you go to nathanielhovsepian.com, you can find the link for that. And like Jeremy said, follow me on Instagram. It's there. Follow me on Facebook. It's also there. Follow me on YouTube. You're already doing that. Till next week.